And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Hawkeye session. This is Thursday morning, November 12th. And we're going to be going to about, probably right around 10 o'clock today. I'll try and see if we can get anything going. You may take a look at the US CAD pair. We had an alert at 7:15. It's pretty much already done. We'll go over that trade after we get done with these disclaimers. And trading the foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in the foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objective, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with the foreign exchange trade and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendations will be provided. Any trade taken during this live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money you cannot afford to lose before trading live. Always operate with a written trade plan that identifies the rules for entries, exits, targets, and risk management. And having said that, let's go to the USD CAD chart. And you can see that it's pretty much already hit the target on here. It was one of those. It was. I wasn't sure how to draw this one. They gave us a descending wedge, but there really wasn't anything descending about it. The best thing I could do to find a descending was I could find this channel coming in. So I took the yesterday's or the overnight high, and I took the overnight low, and I was able to develop a descending channel that gave me some information as which way this thing was going. And it came right, and so here's the alert. And if you look carefully, you'll see I drew a box right before, and actually what that is that's a 5-minute candle that closed before the alert. And when you get something like this, it's just like you're not really sure what it's looking at when it generates the alert, but it had this strong move up. And actually, this was a strong move up. It was basing. I couldn't see a wedge or a triangle in here. So the best thing I could do is take a 5-minute candle and drew a box around that box and use that for the reference of where the alert was generated. Because obviously it was looking at this candle for some way. I did find a trend line from the higher time frame to draw a trend line and found out that came down here right as it came up. It tagged it right here just before it broke. It came up, tagged it. That confirmed this trend line. It pulled back all the way back down to here, came back up, and then we had the break. And I'll go to my 1-minute chart. I'll expand it up here a little bit. So here was the alert, came up, right up here. It tested it, came back down, tested the bottom, gave us a little bit of a head fake. If it would have gotten in this thing right when there's a strong move down, this was the head fake. And a lot of times what I'm seeing, and I've not seen just now, but I've seen it before, is that whenever you get a really strong move, oftentimes that's the head fake that comes down, comes back in, grabs some buyers, and then away it takes off. And you can see where it came up, tested it, came back down, retested this little trend here. This is like your almost your up move. And so here's your first wave, second wave, and then the third wave this is almost like a little bit of a harmonic or a Elliott wave. We have wave 1, wave 2. This is wave 3, wave 4, and then here's wave 5, and it's still going. But I'm not sure. We'll see where it goes with this. But right now it's in this supply zone. But I can see I had my target. If I did the Elliott wave off of this, it came down, tested this. It couldn't break this low, which I think is a significant area. When you get these patterns where it breaks the top, comes back down, retests the low, and it can't break the low, that's a good sign that this thing may be going to the upside. Broke the trend line, the higher time frame trend, broke it, came back, retested it, and then my target was going to be from drawing the Fibonacci. I went from this level up to here, pulled it back down, Take this all the way back down to the tip here. And my zone was right here at this was the 78.6 to 1. I moved it back about halfway. And you can see it came right up into the zone, hit this supply zone. This supply zone was generated by this move over here. We had a nice high, came back down, tested it. This was a retest right off of here, right at where this was a retest of this trend. And then the trend line was tested right here. It came tested, trend line held, confirmed the trend line, and then it broke. And then so the Fibonacci extension was from the strong move up, the retrace, and then to the one-to-one target, which is right where this is at. I usually make a little bit more conservative. I try and just maybe catch a little bit early. A lot of times it'll only come up to part way. I was happy with that. I got my pips out of it. You can see right, oops, and you'll see that it is testing the, let's see, here's where the last move gave, this was the hit, validated this supply zone. This is how deep, this is as the deepest, how deep it got into that zone. That's how deep it went. And you can see it came right on up, bounced right in there, came back, and now it still has some more strength to it. So this thing, I'm not sure how far this is going to go, but it's going to have to get through the other side of this before it goes any higher. And if it does, we're going to be looking at something that's going to be way over to the left of the chart. So if this zone breaks, let's see if we can find something over here. It's a long way over. You can see how these price levels get challenged right here. So if this thing, if it breaks the top of this trend line, it's going all the way up to here probably. And I'd be looking at this area. Here's the wall, come back up, find all these wicks, find a wick you like, and draw another area around it.
Looks like it's moving quite a bit today, Al.
Yes, it is. So here's the wick. Here's this is the wick, came down and then it just broke. So I would be putting it right about over this wick area here. And that would be, if it breaks this level, that's be the area I'd be looking at. There's like nothing to stop it from, even on a 15-minute chart. This is just a straight move down. That probably happened within just a couple of minutes. That'd be my guess. So that's where we are with this trade. And like I said, I got in down here, right as it broke this wedge. I got in my target, and I was done with the trade. It took about 2 minutes. Any questions about that move? Anybody have anything they'd like to take a look at while we're waiting for another alert to happen? There was another alert with the British US. That was at 7 o'clock. We can take a look at that. So here's the analysis on that. Here's the alert at 7 o'clock, British US. And looking at our RCS tool, we can see that there's a lot of dollar strength. So the dollar second currency of the pair looks like going to be strength to the downside. Again, this was the same type of scenario where we had in a wedge alert, it was a, I'm not sure what it was. I can see if it was ascending or descending. On the British US, it was ascending. I could not find anything that gave me an ascending anything with this. So the best thing I could do, so in order to improvise that, I'm just going to look and see what the algorithm was looking at when it generated the alert. And the best thing I could come up with, we had a strong move down. So I just put a box around this candle right before this 5-minute candle right before the alert. And let's see, right, this was, so I'm gonna just take that region, and there was the alert coming down, and so it was, what did we say it was? It was ascending. So basically it was going from low to high. Now to try and find out where the low was coming from, I would have to go with probably this. If you look over here, we had a rally. Here's some basing. Rally, came back and retested. So this was the area that one was already broken by the time we got the alert. And so here's where the alert was. So I'm gonna have to go down to this one to bring up just a straight horizontal to pretty much this wick right here. I guess would be about the best way we could do it. Be looking at this low. And take it up to the pivot just before we had the alert. That's about the best I could do for a ascending wedge. And then if it breaks to that, then so this is going to be an area where it's probably, and I'll be looking at this being the target. I did not take this trade. If it pulls back up to this trend line, we might have a nice little ABC retracement to where here was the, and we don't know where this is going to go, but it may come down to here, come back up, retest this trend line, and then maybe go down for a lower. That's the pattern that I'd be looking at off of this trend line to maybe possibly get in off of this area right here. And we have a pivot low. So basically came up, pulled back, tested this area right here. It broke that. So right now I'm looking at this thing being somewhat range bound, probably between this level right here, which is where we started the trend. Come down, maybe test this, retest this. And we might look for like a little bit of a flag pattern or something, either maybe a break to go back up, or it might just keep on going down. But it's going to have to get through this period over here. So if we look and see where the wicks are, come over here, you see the body. This would be actually this would probably be a better candle to use. This one right here. I like that one. And because if you follow this where the wicks are, there's a wick, come down, another wick, and you come all the way down here before you ever come to a body of a candle. So this would be the next candle that I'd be looking at for a possible target if it gets down that low. And your guess is as good as mine. We have that, and then we have a little bit of a wick over wick area down here. So I'd be looking at this as a possible demand zone if it can get down that low. So and that's a substantial move to the downside from where it is. That's 84 pips. I would not expect it. It could get there today. I don't know that it would, and I'm not really probably trying to project it, but that would be the area that I'd be looking for it to start as a target zone.
It's quite a move, Al.
That would be quite a move, yeah. And this is on a 1 hour chart too, so I'm gonna keep that in mind. I don't expect it to get down that low, but I don't know what. I can only project. I can't guess.
Yeah, you're right.
But I am looking that this could possibly be a nice little pull back down, come back up. This was a major trend line that it broke. And it broke substantially right through there. And now I'm be looking for a retest up to here. And this would be where I try to take the entry. And if you do try and take this trade right off this one, then you'd be looking at a stop up here. That would be my stop. Here would be my entry. And then the target is somewhere down below here. Probably this one right there. And this thing could come down to test that, come back up, and then make another move to the downside. So that's all I can say about that one. Anybody have anything that they'd like to take a look at?
Not right now. Just scanning some things and.
Apparently, there's news with the British yesterday.
Oh yeah.
See, is it possible that yesterday's news that the British won't hit deadlines after the market corrected? And maybe that's where this U.S. British is, where the British U.S. is moving from. Let's see.
Oh, Brexit's always fun.
Yeah, Brexit's always
gong show that is.
Yeah, let's take a look at the news and see if there's anything in the news that we need to pay attention to today. Yesterday was a banking holiday for a lot of for the U.S. and Canada, I believe, too. Was it?
Mm-hmm.
And so today we're going to probably get a little bit more volatility in the market just with the fact that yesterday was a holiday and everybody's back to work again. And so let's see, at 3 a.m. that we had some news with the Bank of England. And that's coming down here at 11:45. We have Europe. We have some red folders in Europe right about 11:45 a.m. and nothing else until for the rest of the day. So be aware of the before noon trades. Again, we usually have a pretty strong move around 9 o'clock. We have some interesting moves oftentimes. So this trend has been broken, so we can come back and we can say that, so this trade is basically done. This is a US CAD that we're looking at right now. And we'll see where that goes. And so there's a little bit of a trend. So this isn't confirmed. This is not confirmed. Unless we have something over here. I think we'll just keep that one just like it is. This is not confirmed, so we're going to change the value on that one. This is no longer valid, and we're looking for take this one out of the way. This trade's done. I'll take this one out of the way. Take this out of the way. This is out of the way. And let's see if we can figure out where this thing may be going from here. And see if there's any other things to look at with this. Look and see if there's any harmonics that were generated. Not seeing any.
Yeah, my mic's annoying. I don't know if you hear any static or anything, but
this seems to be okay now, Matt.
Okay. I hear it in my ear, so.
Okay. There was a 5:30. There was a harmonic generated on the US CAD at 5:30 this morning. This starts changing the format of the room here a little bit, but basically what we're doing is we use the wedges for entering and exit trades, but we don't have anything to look at. We want to see what some other areas to look at for targets and for possible trades. This is a harmonic pattern. It's generated by harmonicpatterns.com. And what it does is sends us, there's a whole nother theory about harmonics, but basically harmonics is nothing but a series of triangles and trend lines that generates a pattern. So what I like about this is that it just shows me, it just generates the alert, sends it to my Telegram, and I can take a look and see if there's something I want to look at or see if I have something I want to trade off of it. Now with this pattern, what I would be doing is I'm going to duplicate this on the chart. So I'm going to just move this over so I can do that. I'm going to slide this over and put my US CAD chart up. If I can find it here.
Actually, Beach Panda is asking about the US CAD. He says it looks like the RSI is hooking downwards.
Okay, well, we're going to take a look at this harmonic pattern and see if we can find out what it's looking at and see if we can find out how it looks on the target. So I'm just going to get a fresh screen here. And the harmonic started off, there was X area, which was at, let's see, 10:15 this morning. So I'm looking to find out where 10:15 was. That would be right about 10:45, 10. So it's looking at this low candle right here.
There might be another trade on UCAD. There might be a sell.
I think that's what the pattern's is telling me here. So that's why we're drawing this one out, because this might give us that area, that target area that we were looking at. Let me see if I got these right here. So we have a no, here's B's up. So go 10:15. And we went to the A is up here at 2:45 this morning. And then we have a B, which is right here at 3:30. Here's where the B was, right about in this area. The C is up here at the pivot high before, which was over here. It's at 4 o'clock, I believe. And then the D, well, actually the D was already hit. So that's the whole difference. This is a whole different thing here. The D was already hit right down here. So this was the harmonic. But here was basically what we're trying to do when we get these patterns. What it does, it generates the pattern at the C level and projects where the D is. And you can see where the projection of the D was basically right on, let's see, this was at 5:15. It projected the D right here. So you can see when you get these alerts and you can draw, what you do is you draw a trend. What I'll do is I'll draw a trend line from the X to the B. And when it breaks this trend line, here's the money zone where you try to get the target. And you can see where it came down, hit the target, and this also generated an entry off the D. And it says the entry was in this zone right in here, and then target 1, target 2. So this gives us another little something else to kind of play with trying to find, if we don't get alerts, these are things that I look at to try and find another trade that's maybe available or come about. So anyway, that's what we have with the US CAD. So right now, if it comes down and it's already broke this trend line, came back up. Now, right now it's testing this A area, the AC area. So that would be from this area right in here. Here was the high. Here's the testing, the supply zone. You can see it tested it right here. Right now it's bouncing off of this. So we'll see if this thing can penetrate, where it's going to go higher. If it goes higher, let's see where we're looking at. This is where we're looking at over here to this area. So this would be the target. So if this trend line can hold after this break, this thing may go on up to this area. What do you think, Matt? Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? What's your crystal ball say?
He was going to go and do something about his.
Yeah, my mic. It's it sounds like I'm singing an instrument. Yeah, a little bit of rattle. So I've got a good mic. I can go check, but I think she's going down. And
it's going down.
Yeah, I just based on overall what I see on the charts and stuff, I could see it going down.
Yeah, I'm looking at. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, once it gets up, if it gets up into right now, the price is right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's fighting right through this little doji right in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this.
I think it's a little early to take it short.
Yeah,
I think I do see it going down, and I do like where that doji is sitting.
Yeah. This could be a nice little area to take it short. I'm going to put a supply zone right here.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna go up into your second zone. Just because of the overall push to the downside. If it does do that and break that high, then we could be in a interesting position because that's no longer kind of your typical Elliott wave move.
Yeah.
Something else funky's happening.
Yeah. And so when I check this, I see this nice strong move coming down. This is like we're on a 1 hour chart. I took that just to get all the way over here. This was 5 days ago. But if it breaks here, you can see here's a wick coming over here. There's the body of the candle. Comes straight on up. And that's going to be this is the area where this move originated. I usually like to include the wick just before that because we had a low. It came back. It retested it up to the top here where that wick was. So this is sort of like a wick over wick area. I'll bring it down, make this a supply zone as well. And as you see, once it gets up into this region, all you have is wicks. Here's a wick, come back over, here's another wick, come back over, there's another wick, come back over, here's another wick, come back over, here's another wick. And it wasn't until you break this wick do you ever come up with candles that don't have any wicks. This was a strong drop, came down, closed, kept on going, closed, kept on going. So right here, this would be the ultimate high on this one so if this zone gets broken, this is an area that you'd be looking at, but you know that there's all these wicks are in here. That's going to be it's going to be a real battle getting through this part. We'll just move this on over, see where we're at. And that's really all I have to say about that, other than looking at, if you look at the RSI, you look at our strength meter, our RCS tool, we're showing dollar strength, not as much as we were on this is on the 1 hour chart, but we're still showing dollar strength. Come back to the 15-minute chart.
Okay, I'm gonna go get the other mic.
Okay.
It drives me crazy.
And so we have this here's the area where this A and C of this harmonic was. So this was a mathematically generated pattern based on price levels and angles is what this is, how this gets generated. So right now you have a little bit of a area that we're just having to try and figure out which way it's going to go. And if it breaks down to the bottom if it breaks the bottom of this trend line, it may very well be going lower. And we'd be looking at this area right here, which is where the alert was generated, and that you'd be looking at this being a target. It's going to have to get below where this X is. If it breaks that, it could go significantly lower, but this would be the first area to be taken a look at. So we'll just mark this for future reference. And this would be a target area right in here as well. It has this nice little doji right in here. So we like get these dojis. I just put right there. That's where the area of indecision was, right in that area. So that's all I have to say about the US CAD. Does anybody have any comments, questions? Anything they want to take a look at, anything they want to discuss? I'm just going to type in the question answer box and see if we can adjust it. We have some time here.
All right, so we'll try this one.
The other thing we can do, if we don't have any alerts to be looking at, we can always put our fib tools or RCS tool on. Start looking, and we can look for some. So see which of the 4 time frames, which currency seems to have the dominance to the high side, which one has the dominance to the low side. So right now this is a 4 hour chart. This is a 30-minute chart. This one is a 15-minute, and then this is the 5. So I start with my higher time frame, see which ones show strength, New Zealand and
Got an
Euro.
alert.
Oh, did we? Oh,
Yeah.
that's gold.
Wait,
Well, what the heck? Eva's ears perked up when she
Gold?
heard that. Gold. Let's take a look at the gold.
Yeah,
take a
you know,
look.
I've been exploring it a little bit more. So it can.
Yeah.
This one works better.
Let's see here. Let me find a good chart for the gold. Let's see. I'm gonna go over here to gold.
Should have taken that US CAD short where I had it.
1871 gold is right now. Okay, so let's take a look at gold. And I'm going to set this up for, well, we're going to be looking at, basically with gold, you're looking at 10-cent digits on this is the way I believe is what we're looking at primarily.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep it into three decimal place on this. But we have a gold ascending at 830. So we don't usually trade this, but I think we're going to start looking at gold a little bit more. We're getting better. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable trading the indexes and gold and things like that. So we're going to start paying attention to that a little bit more. So we get the gold alert. Let's just take a look at it because there are ways of trading it and be successful. That was at 830.
There certainly are. I know a lot of successful people that trade exclusively indexes.
I'm actually doing more and more of that than I am with the foreign exchange.
Yeah, so am I.
But the methods that we're using here do work. The foreign exchange works really well with robots and bots and things like that with the EAs. I do most of my index trading is all done manually with the same techniques that we teach here in this room. So we had an 830 alert. Let me see, and it was an ascending wedge. 15-minute chart, ascending. I'm going to start from low to high. I'm going to be looking at the yesterday's high-low. I'm looking at the overnight high-low. Going to connect some highs, the points. So here was yesterday's low. Here's the pivot, overnight low. Just waiting for a test of the trend line. Here's yesterday's high. Here's the overnight high. And you can see there's pivot and it's just flattened out. So I'm going to be using this as a, let's see where this one comes in. I'm just going to put that right in there. This is kind of there's an anchor. Here's the near test. Didn't even come back and retest it till right here. So I kind of like this one right here. We did get a little bit of we breached the trend line, but we didn't breach the price level. So I'm going to put a mark across this one. This trend line is actually becoming more validated as it can't break through the top. We had this rejection here, but it looks like it's starting to break to the upside a little bit. So I'm going to draw a wedge from this low to this high to the low before the alert, and I'm going to flat top the top.
I like this one short.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. We can tweak this thing on the 1 minute.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
So we have the B up here. I'm just going to fine-tune this to the price point. And we had a nice little trend descending down. Now it's coming up to retest this. You like it short, huh?
I don't know. We'll see. See what happens. If it breaks the 73.04, then maybe not short anymore. But yeah, I like.
Gold just had a pretty strong pullback.
Huge move down.
And I think it's starting to regain some of its strength to the upside here.
I'm thinking it kind of has to. I think people in the know made a significant amount of money with the election fallout and everything.
Yeah.
And now they have to reset the economy, bring everything back to where it was.
Now here we had over here on this is a 1 minute, but let's go and I like this trend line a little bit better. I like keeping it out of this. It's a little bit cleaner. It came up, lower high, lower high, lower high, and here it made a higher high, but pretty much the same as this one here. So we have a little bit of a zone off of this pivot right here.
Excuse me.
And is breaking. Came up, got a little bit of a head fake, poked his head up there. Take a look, see if there's anything. And I like this pivot over here, which is a little bit higher. This is really the pivot that this just recognized this high right here is where that came in. So if it breaks that, then I'd say we may be looking at, let's get over to a higher time frame chart.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the 5 minute, and I like it on the 5 minute.
Here's a drop. Here's a basing area. So I'm looking at this area right here as a basing area. And a supply, this would be a retest. Look at this as a retest zone. And the reason why I say that is we had a strong move down, came back up, base. So here's a drop, based in this area, dropped again, came back, tested it, came back out, tested again, came back out. Right. So this all is a retest, in my opinion. If it can break through that, it's going to come on up to retest this area, which is the 1879. But even more so, I would be looking at probably it would come up here, wick. So I'd be looking at this more of the 1889. Generally, gold has been running right, hanging pretty close to the 1900 area, which is basically right up in here. We can see here's where it's been. Really came back down, but I think it's going to start working its way back up to at least retest this area. I'd be more apt to take a long on gold at this point than a short. I'd be looking at pullbacks more so because this was such a strong move down. And I don't think the gold's going to be going anywhere short anytime soon. I think it's going to be probably somewhat range bound, at least until after the election is determined. Gold's very gold doesn't like uncertainty.
Temperamental.
It's very temperamental. It's a flight to safety in uncertain times, and we certainly are living in some uncertain times right now. So this is a retest of the area. This was just yesterday. So I'm looking at this as just being, I mean, it could go down a little bit lower still, depending, but I'm looking more of possibly pressure to the upside.
Hey, Ava, I don't trade gold a lot, but so on the 5 minute chart right now, from the point that let me see if I can, like a 23 pip move on gold, what would that be worth? Just thinking, is it still 10 cents a pip or?
Well, it depends on your position size.
Yeah, want to figure 0.1 lot size. What would 10 cents? What would a 10-cent move?
Oh, okay, I get you.
Yeah. So the recommended by Kevin, who trades gold all the time.
Oh.
Do not stay in it for more than about 25 pips tops. Because gold is so unpredictable and quirky, as Beach Panda pointed out.
So 25 pips would be a $2.50 move?
Exactly. That's the most. He said try to get out by about 20. That's it.
And with a 0.1
better
lot
off doing
size.
multiple trades at 15 to 20 pips as opposed to one big long run.
Oh, I get it.
So a 0.1 lot size with a 25 pip move would be a $2.50 move. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of along the same lines as what we've been doing lately with the indices.
Yeah, the S&P. Yeah. Okay.
A bunch of short little trades. One blends into the next, into one closes, another one opens. You're better off doing that with gold, because I can tell you right off that you can make a lot of money with gold in a very short time, but you can also lose it just as quick. And I've done both. So he's absolutely correct. Yeah.
I get it.
So this is the retest area. So I would be clear that up a little bit so we can see a little bit better. I would want to see a break out of this box and then be looking at this for the next target. Here would be this would be the supplies. This would be up here. So this would be 1877. So right here, we were talking about $2.50 move. Mm-hmm. This would be a $4 move up to this area right here. So I'm going to mark this as a supply zone up here. So I'm going to no, I'm just taking the wick of this candle. I'm just taking the wick, marking this as supply, which is basically our target zone. And if I get through this area, this would be where I'd be looking at it to go. I want to see a break through this this area right in here. You have these still little wicks here. It couldn't quite. This is as high as it could go, and there it goes. It's starting to break out of the top. Let's go look at our lower time frame.
That was pretty dominant, Al. That was pretty dominant.
Sure is.
I'm happy I didn't mess around with a short. I would never take something that I'm not actively trading very much. I don't think I've ever taken a trade on gold ever in 4 years of trading. So
I've watched gold for a very long time. I haven't really traded gold.
No, I've just tried to keep my skill set as precise as I can, and I just stuck to Forex. I didn't even dabble in crypto. A lot of people go and diversify themselves, but I've just stuck to Forex.
Actually, Al, I might as well read you a couple of things in the Q&A.
Okay.
Beach Panda is asking, how long have you been using the harmonicpattern.com and how reliable, confident are you in it? And his next question is, because we're talking about indices today or have been, what offshore broker do you find that you have the most comfort with, considering you're a U.S. citizen?
How do I want to answer both of those questions? I have to be careful. I can't recommend a broker.
Right.
But if you want to email me, or we can have that discussion later, and I can give you some information about what I know and what I've used in the past. There's a couple of brokers that I've used that I feel comfortable with, and you can email me and we can talk about that part. As far as the harmonicpattern.com, I've actually been using it for a while. I've had it for a while. I haven't really used it that much until just recently. I've been getting some coaching on the side here about how to actually use this, use the patterns. When you start using these harmonic patterns, it kind of gets into other forms of trading. Besides there's a lot of the harmonic patterns are basically a series of wedges and a series of trend lines, which is a lot what we do here just with these wedge alerts. But it's just a little bit more complex as far as the patterns, and there's a lot to be said about how they generate. I've been getting, I've just got my account set up to where I'm actually getting alerts in the Telegram, and they come through all day long, and it gives me a chance to take a look at a pattern and see if I want to take the pattern. I'm just getting used to that myself, so I really can't comment on how reliable it is as far as the patterns that are generated. I do notice that they do tend to generate a pattern, and sometimes as the price changes, the patterns will either adjust or they'll go away depending on what happens or where things are. So the jury's still out on some of that, but I do find it rather interesting to be observing. So I'll need a little bit more experience with that part in order to make a comment on it. So I'm still gathering information and data on my own here for that part. Did that answer all your questions? Is there any more? But if you want to, Beach Panda, we can get together and we can discuss some of these other things you were talking about. I'd be happy to do so. And let's see, what's the next one? Does the RSI on the US look like it's a hook downward? Let's see that was on the US CAD. The RSI, let me see here. Which the time was that? That was at 8 o'clock. You send that message. At 8 o'clock, RSI hook downward. Yeah, the thing I don't like right here where it is hooking downward, this is above the, actually I want to get this thing to a 70% area. Thought I had all these changed. I guess I missed this one. This changes to 75 and 25. I do like the fact that this thing came up to the 75 area. This one came up and hooked down. When I see this 8 period, or the 3 period cross over, I'd be looking more of a short in this case because now it's already at the extreme. We get the hook. This is already at the extreme. And usually they go from low to high, come back down, retest. You can see where here was the high, came all the way back down, came all the way back up. And it's just sort of keeps cycling that way. Once the 3 crosses over the 8 and starts heading down, that's usually a sign that this thing's heading on down to retest this low down here. That's why I'm kind of looking at this break of this area right in here. Now this zone has been breached, so we can take this one away. That was no longer valid. And so right now I'm looking to see if it can break. I'm going to see if you look at this, if I clone this. That's not locked. If I clone this and put it right as right now, this is a parallel. You can see where this low, it was breached. This was the fake, came back up. But right now, this channel right here is going to be an area where you're going to be seeing some, you can see where it bounced right off of that. I'm going to keep this channel in play. And that's just basically from this low to where this is almost like an upside down head and shoulders pattern. If you know like different pattern formations, it's sort of like an upside down head and shoulders. Here's a shoulder, here's a shoulder. Now the question is, this could break to the upside, but we have a little bit of an area where I'm looking at this as something that's to be, this price channel is being tested. Came back into the channel, broke, came back into the channel, broke, came back into the channel. Now this thing still might be going to the upside, but you also have this area right here you have to be concerned about. So I'm just going to note this. Not going to put a lot of weight on it, but it's a parallel, and it does seem to respect this pivot and these pivots right here along with that. So we're just going to keep a note on that one. I'm going to lock that. And I'm just going to note where this thing broke here. This area right in here, I'm going to be checking to see if it can break through here. It's probably going to come down and retest this. Does that answer your question on that?
Yeah, I like that trap, Al. I'm just setting up a trap. You're going to see what's going to happen. And if it springs, then you take it. If it doesn't, then we just move on.
He says that he already got into it when he mentioned about the hooking down. He got his 5 pips and he was out. So that's good.
You took it short, Beach Panda? You took it short up here?
He says he entered at 1.3096.
1.3009. Okay, so right about there. And yep, you would have gotten your 7 pips there on this pullback.
Yeah.
And so it's going to have to get through this little area right up in here. It's going to have a little bit of a problem getting through that. Like I said, if it can come back down, this may be the zone that it's working in between. I'm kind of looking at this area between the A and the D. I'm just looking, this is a range that I'm looking at this thing's the playground and sandbox that's playing in today right now.
You know what I've been looking at a little bit today, Al?
What is that?
I've been looking at the Singapore dollar, the US Singapore.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. Only because one of the new EEAs uses it.
Stratamus.
Yeah.
Right?
Uses nothing but the US SGD. So I'm looking at that today, and it kind of moves similar to what the S&P does in a sense, as far as just the overall feel of it, you know?
Oh, like direction, but probably doesn't move as fast. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily direction, but like it does the same thing, except that it's because it's paired with the US, it goes the opposite of the US. Like it just moves. It's not erratic like gold. It's kind of a smoother moving pair, what I can see so far.
What's the symbol on that? What's the symbol? What's the symbol on that one?
USD SGD. And the spread's 1.7.
SGD.
Yeah.
And we have this on. Do we have that on one now? Yep. Here we go.
0.7.
1.7.
Oh, so, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's pretty intense.
Let's see what the spread is on that. 1.8, 1.7. Okay, that has a reasonable spread on it.
Yeah, it's not bad. So I'm just kind of messing around with that a little bit here and there. I thought I'd throw it out there just for interest's sake.
Yeah, that's tradable. Now I've seen some currency pairs that have a 4 pip spread. That is not tradable with a 7 pip stop loss.
Yeah. See, and this one, it doesn't have like a lot of wicking, and like nothing unusual.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So
that's interesting. That's very interesting.
So yeah, I'm kind of, I actually put a sell stop on it, just at a very small position size in demo, just to see how it fits into the strategy that I use with the other things.
Well, see, well, we were to look at this and analyze this pair. Yes, we can do this. We have some regulars in this room, so we're not getting too far off track, and we're actually giving some little bit of extra information here for our devoted followers here. Let's take a look at let's just take a look at an hourly time frame, see what it kind of looks like. So for the last, here's the high range. So it's ranging a little bit higher. So there's a little bit of a trend going up this way, a little bit of a, let's see, we have a strong move up. So right now, this is the area that is in right now this is the overnight high, the overnight low. Here's yesterday's low. Nice move up yesterday. So this could possibly be a area where it's going to come strong move up, basing, and see where I'm be looking at, just see if there's anything up here that we could be using for a target off of this move right here. We had this move. Let's take a look at this move first and just see if this measured out and see if there's any confluence with the, so here's a high move, here's come pull back, and it came right up into the 61% of the range, bouncing. This could possibly go and retest this area, which I like that because it's got a little bit of traffic to move in. See all these wicks over here. There's nothing that doesn't have a wick until you get to this point right in here, which is right at the 1-to-1. So this area in here, I would be looking at as a possibility of a target from this wick. We have a little bit of a wick over wick, right? You see this? Here's how I want to note here. Here's little, on this hourly chart, there's a little, is that wick over wick. You have this strong drop. You have a wick, small little wick, so to create a little zone, came back up, retested it. So right now, if you look at this real carefully, you have a little wick over wick, and here's where this is how deep this zone got. So I'm going to put this as a, I'm going to look at it as a retest area, which hasn't been, let's see, retest. There we go. I use that as the wheat, and that's right at from this move that we're looking at here, from the very low to the high to this pullback off of here. We're looking at, this is a reset. This is right at that 1-to-1 range from here to here with a pullback. This is the 1-to-1. So there would be almost like your wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. This would be your wave 3 or higher. So that's that zone. We can also take to the 78. I'm going to mark this whole zone with this is a pair I've never looked at before, so I'm just sort of getting an analysis on it. So this would be the target zone. And if we take it from this area from here, this little range, and come on up to here. Now we're looking at our 120. Again, this is you see the 1-to-1 came pretty much right up into that same area. So we're still looking at the same area from this move with the retracement, and then this move with the retracement. It all comes up, the targets still come up into the same area. I think that's significant. And you also see there's a blue fib line right there. So the blue lines are basically your support and resistance levels, and these others are demand and supply levels. So this is a support. So again, this is an area to be paid attention to. We're on a 15. This should be a 15-minute. Let's put it on a 5-minute. See what this one says. 15-minute. Is there? That's still a green area, so that's still good. Here's a blue, green. I still like this area right here for a target. Also, here's our 15-minute. It's a 15-minute blue area. And that's right where this thing came back down, checked it. This is a higher time frame. Came down, checked it, came back up. It's retesting this area right now. We have a little.
Oh, it sliced through it.
Yeah, well, it has. Well,
oh, STD. Sorry, I'm talking about gold. Gold just sliced right through.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, we're like,
oh, wow.
It went to the moon. Huh?
Oh, that was a nice little alert.
A little bit. Look at that thing. Holy smokes. That's funny, Beach Panda.
Yeah. My device keeps on talking to me times when I just say something and go, "Why did it say that?" Yeah, that was well, it came right up into the target zone right here. You see where it came up, worked right past it, and then just stopped. So these are not just by happenstance. Yeah, gold's going to get a little bit stronger again, I think, as the election becomes more and more determined. I think you're going to start seeing gold getting. Gold can go significantly higher. I was talking to a dealer a couple months ago, and I was asking them what their projection for gold was, and they said right around $4,000 an ounce is what they were projecting back then.
That's insane.
It's not going to happen right all at one time, but
well, I hope not. You'd obliterate the economy.
It could very well happen over the next couple of years, though. So just just file that back in your files of things to do, to think about. But I think 2000 will be retested before it's all over for sure, I'm guessing. And that was back in somewhere around January, or not January, probably around July, I think. The all-time high was back here in August. And I would say it's going to probably retest that area before this is all. But now you have a nice little trend here. So you may want to be looking at that. Here's the trend line you want to be looking at from the high. That was the all-time high. Come on. That's 9 o'clock hour. Here we are. Right. So here's an anchor. Here's a hit. We're having some basing right along in here. I'll be using this. This was back in September. This was the low in September. That was right around 1850. Okay. Here's a hit. There's our wedge. This is our wedge drop base. We may get another drop possibly if this base holds. This could be, let's see, I would say if this breaks, we're looking at this area right in here. This would be the next area for it to be tested. This is on a daily chart. Gold doesn't usually move all that fast, relatively speaking, for what the value of it is.
That's on a 1 minute chart.
This is a daily chart right here. Oh, yeah, the other, well, on a 1 minute chart, yeah. I mean, but we're talking, I'm talking the serious moves. I mean, that was what, a couple $1 move. And we're talking we're talking $1,900 per ounce on this. So when you think about a $2 move on $2,000 worth, you're not talking a big percentage move.
Yeah.
So see how it moved. It had a couple $1 move, and that's your 20 pips right there, which is what Kevin talks about.
Yeah.
Try not to shoot for more than that.
Yeah, I think that's a real valid way of trading it.
Panda said that US CAD just melted and it's on its way down, and I would believe so.
US. Let me get back over to.
It failed to break the top from the from last night. Ooh, that's a small scale. Looks like it's forming a nice little wedge there.
This was that harmonic that we drew earlier, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. I believe you're right.
So this was the trend line that I was looking at for, remember we were looking at that AC area right here. There was a wick up, came back down, broke the, this is that trend box that we were looking at. Remember we drew those parallels. It's right back into that zone right there. This was a retest zone that we were noting. So right now I'm seeing there's a high, which is, this is a peak into that supply zone. I'm going to mark that. That was the mark to be noted. This is a target. We can take this target away. That's no longer a factor anymore. Came back down into the supply zone. Came back, tested this trend line. Oh boy, let's see. Let me see something else here. This could be a pullback on the US CAD. What do you think, Matt? I'm looking at this as a pullback and possibly retest of this area up here.
Let me see something. It looks like it could be a wave too.
What does your crystal ball say?
My crystal ball. If I could find it, it would be really useful.
Mine's always foggy.
Yeah, well.
My crystal ball is always foggy. But anyway, here, this is about 10 pip region right in here.
USD
We're on a 1 minute chart. But right
now, changing my charts.
I'd be looking at, I'd like to see the moving averages have to cross over. Now, here's where I would be looking to see where the higher time frame moving average is doing. And if they're all in the right direction to go long, and you can see like on the 5 minute, we have the green, yellow, purple, which is all in the right order to go to the upside. And we have on our 5 minute or 15 minute, we have green, yellow, orange, which is again to the upside. And with the 1 minute, we have these are out of whack right now. But now when these flip over, we have green. There we go, green, yellow. The green and the white are just flipping right now. If we can get a close above this middle trend line, I think we're going to be looking at maybe you could take another shot at this. This is still showing some strength. I think this is just be a pullback.
Yeah, we just broke a huge low right there. Like, really big.
Broke a low. Broke
like
low
today or whatever.
Yeah,
today we just broke a low that it hasn't broken in.
on the U.S. CAD you're talking about?
Yeah.
What low did it break?
I'm on a daily chart. Like, it hasn't broken this low since end of September last year.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So
look at that.
I'm looking at this coming to retest this zone right here.
Yeah, I could see it going up. This is a big low. Like, the closest it's ever gotten was even January of this year. But it never, the only other time that it's broken this low was 2018 of November.
Let's see what you're
September. So this is a very, well, in my opinion, just a very interesting spot. Yeah. And you see how you got the cross of 513.62 on the 1 minute chart? Looks pretty good. Looks like all the moving averages are in the right direction. You're getting your gap and your space, and the candles are clearly closing on the outside of this.
I think we have divergence. I think we have divergence on that low.
On that low, you would be right.
Which means this thing's going up.
Yeah. You're right. They can't allow. Well, they're probably not going to allow the U.S. CAD to sit that low. It's been at record lows, and market's going to open at 9:30. And Canada is one of the U.S.'s major trade partners, and having the dollar this low against the U.S. is not good news for them. They're going to pay substantially more for their goods.
Well, here's the thing that I look at is that with if they stop the fracking of oil, then oil prices are going to go through the roof. And right now, gasoline, at least in our area, we paid $1.69 a gallon the other day. That's as low as I've seen it all summer. And that's about where I'm thinking it's going to be bouncing from as this election gets decided and as the oil production gets affected by the new administration.
Did anyone get in this one long?
I just did. I just jumped into it. I didn't have time to. I just punched the button.
Oh, okay.
I was right on this little, when these flipped over to green, yellow, white, that's when and it crossed this trend line. It came out of this region that we had here, this retest zone that we were looking at. When it came out of that, I decided to take a long and be looking at, we'll see where it stops.
Yeah, this looks good. Anyway, I don't want to jinx it. You could make some good money on this trade.
I think we're going to be looking at this thing coming up into the middle of this. Let's see where our fib lines are here.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Just fire up the fib lines. I'm going to try something. Look at that move, Al. I think you nailed it. Not the most, not the best entry, but
it wasn't a bad entry. I got in right here off this candle right down here.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay, I thought you entered later than that.
No, I'm up. In fact, I'm going to close it out right now. Boom, there, done. Came up to the fib line. It's probably going to get a little bounce off of that. I'm going to look over here and see how deep this supply zone got penetrated way back over to the left.
What an exit, Al.
So I'm out of that.
Excuse me.
We're up So we're looking all the way over here. We're going to go to a 1 hour chart. And we're going to take a look at this area right in here. Remember, this was a fresh area. This really hasn't been, from this move down, this thing has not been penetrated or tagged until right there. Came right up to the bottom of that zone, and that's as far as it came. Now it may come up a little bit deeper, but let's see, where's this red line generated from? Okay, yeah, this was the top of the red candle.
The bounce off the moving average.
The bounce off the, yeah, and so right here is the zone. This is the body of the candle. So basically, this is that wick over wick area that we're looking at. Here is the origin of the strong move down. I'm putting this right at the top of, we have two candles. We have, I'll put this little zone right. This would be the wick over wick here. Actually, there's a wick. Where's my wick? Oh, the wick is all the way up here. Okay, so basically that's the top of the move there. So there really is no, I see this little zone right in here would be, because that's the bottom of this blue candle that it was broken. Came back down, pulled up. This candle right here broke the bottom of this blue candle. That's about, and then we had the wick. This whole supply zone is pretty much, I'm gonna put it on up here. This is really where the next wick is going to be. So there's a wick area. That's a very strong move. And that was on the 9 o'clock candle. Any other alerts that we have here?
I don't see any.
Nope. Excuse me. Nope. I'm trying to drink as much water as I can.
Any other questions or comments? Anybody wants their mic turned on, you're welcome to turn your mics on. There's we can do that. If anybody wants to raise your hand, we'll turn your mic on or let us know. Be happy to let you talk to us. I do like this region right in there. That was a nice little move there. So this is going to be the next area. This is the wick area right up in there. So I'm going to note that. And we're going to make that, I'll tell you what, let's just do this. Supply zone, this is a area supply zone, and we're going to change the name of that to the wicks only. So if it breaks through there, we know these are just all wicks. And that's what we're looking at. It could very well get up there. Even today, it could get up there. It could blow through all of this. But we'll see. So it's 9:14. Let's wait one more minute. If we don't get any alerts, let's take a 15-minute break, and then we'll come back.
Okay, sounds good.
See if we get any alerts in the next minute or two. So your safest moves are when you have all the moving averages in the same direction, crossing through some energy points or some trend lines, and you have the strength If you have the strength and you have the breakout and you have all the moving averages in all three time frames in the same direction, that's generally your safest moves to be taken. And no alerts. So we'll give it one more minute and then we'll take a break. Yeah, I'll tell you, let's go take a break. We'll come back at the at 9:30 when the market opens. We'll see what the market gives us this morning.
Sounds good.
And we're going to change the screen. And we're off and running. And Beach Pan, I checked your chat box. I sent you the email link, and we can talk about those other things later. And let's see. So right now we're still looking at the U.S. CAD. It did come out. It did break the supply zone, so we can take this away. Went through all these levels. So I'm going to get rid of all these little dotted lines here. And I went right up into this wick only area. So it came right up into the wicks. I'm going to take this off and I'm just going to mark this wick here. And then we'll just try and hopefully I'll keep this for future reference if I don't lose the chart somewhere as I move back and forth in between these things. And you can see this all broke through. So basically this is all pretty much history. I'm going to take this harmonic off, but I am going to keep this trend line. I do like this trend line that we have here. I like the way this thing it bounced right off of that. And I'm just going to move this range right up into this area here. Because this is the range where this thing broke. This is the origin of this move right in here. And still nothing new but the market has opened up. And we'll see where this thing goes. See if there's anything new to develop on this. No new alerts. Looks like the market's opening up lower this morning. Looks like it's going to come back and retest some of the overnight lows. Canadian dollar is still rising, still getting stronger, or the dollar is getting stronger to the Canadian.
Yeah, pretty substantially. That's been what, 20-some pip move? Oh wow.
Let's see, off the break right here. Here's the break here's the break.
40.
Yep, it's up to 40 pips right now.
Well, to me, that's the trade of the day.
Yeah, this was the trade of the day. And it started with an alert back this morning at, let's see, what time was that alert? That was at 7:15 this morning. But it did give us a little bit of a head fake earlier on. So if we go back to 7:15, right about there. This was where the alert was. And like I said, when we got the alert, it was a descending wedge, which basically the only thing I could have done to make it descending would be taking these pivots. And then here was the alert. And like I said, the only reason why I drew this other trend line was one, it was a parallel to a harmonic that we had, I believe is where this thing came from. Well, no, it came actually from this range here where, well, let's see, where did we get this? Can't see where it happened. Where I got this was the, I probably just went back to this area right down in here. Looks like this thing could go up. If this thing breaks these wicks, this thing could be, this thing could be going up for quite a while, I have a feeling. Let's go over to a 4-hour chart. Take all this stuff off. Here is the wick that we have, where our box where the wicks were. So it's coming up into these wicks. If I can break that, this is going to be the next area up here. And I'm going to mark this as a 4-hour body. So basically what that's telling me is that if it breaks through the bottom, this top wick, it's got a straight shot pretty much up to the next wick only area. And that range is 64 to 48. So that's almost 20, about 18 pips if we can break through the top of that. I would expect a little bit of rejection off of this as this thing goes deeper into this zone. Maybe a little bit of rejection, maybe by a pullback. Pullback could go all the way down to where this origin of this was, or halfway. Go to a 15-minute chart. And start looking for a pullback on this. See, it came back up, it's coming back out of this area. Pretty strong rejection of that area. After the market opened. And the rest we just wait. Let's check our lower time frame charts and see if there's anything telling any pictures, telling any stories. Came back up, rejected, came back up, made a new high. So right now it's still trending, but now it's coming out of this area. So we may be looking at possibly a retest of this area and then a pullback. This could be the retest. We don't know, but we're just looking to see what could be. Try and keep our minds clear of any opinions, but just let the charts tell us what to do. I see that the Canadian dollar has gained some strength again on this 1 minute chart, but that's just a flip. We do have a little bit of a trend line coming up here. Strong move up, pull back, strong move up, pull back. If you look at this, this could be our wave 3, 4, 5, wave 1, wave 2. Let me just see something here. If we have find our stick. Let's see what the length of this move is right here. If this move is shorter than this one, then this is probably wave 3. And it is. So I would say this would be wave 1. This would be wave 2. This would be wave 3. This is wave 4. And this is wave 5. Wave 3 needs to be longer than wave 1. Usually wave 3 is your longest wave. Now we have this could be an A, B, C retracement. A, B, C, and then a retest. And then after that, we'd be looking at a 5 wave coming down. And that would just happen to retest this. Interesting.
There's a couple of comments in the Q&A, Al, from Beach.
Okay.
He's saying, with the pullback on the US CAD, should we look to go short?
I would not go short yet. I would think it may give us a short, but right now it's, I would have to look for a little bit more. The fact that we're up in this zone right here, I would be hesitant to take it short. I gotta go on another chart. Pull this back a little bit here. See what we're doing. It's going to pull back. I would be looking at maybe buying pullbacks. Now the question is how far the pullback is. I'd be looking at probably at least a 15-minute pullback. I'd probably be, the fact this was such a strong move. I would find another area where it would maybe pull back to it's probably going to start giving us some lower highs and higher lows. And I don't know the answer to that.
Which kind of plays into his next question, sort of. Is there a wedge that would justify new targets to go short on the U.S. CAD?
Let's take a look at that. Here's a straw move up. This is sort of like the end. This could be the end of this move because we're into that 4 hour supply zone that we're talking about here. That's fairly high. Based on what we do, this is a relatively high supply zone. I would want to see this thing. I'd want to see this before I would take it short. I want to see this ABC pullback and then the retest, and then look to go short. That should give us a little bit of a wedge pattern. If that were to hold true, then you could probably be looking at a wedge. I'd be looking at something like from this area to here to here, something like that, and then look for a break. But then you're looking at probably much a breakdown to back into this area. And then the question is, do you have enough room for the downside? That's 22 pips. You might have enough room for a bounce off of here, but I wouldn't go much more than using this for a target because right now the trend is up. So you just want to be more of wanting to buy pullbacks as opposed to doing a contra trend, taking it short.
And he also says, and I assume he's talking about the 4 hour rectangle you have up above. Isn't the point of IRIS type trades to get in out of shorter time periods?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking basically with the IRIS. Well, what we do. I mean, not everybody does it the way we do, but we're looking at 7 pips. You still want to have the momentum to your back, so that maybe you don't want to be taking any more contra trend trades than you have to or than you want to. But like I said, once this thing comes up and gives us a nice, I would probably want to see at least a 14, 15 pip pullback, come back up about 7 to 8 pips to retest it, and then maybe take it short, trying to at least, I'd like to see at least 14 pips probably pullback from this B to the C area. If you can get 14 pips off of that or 21 pips, preferably 21 pips. Right now where I've got this margin is about 24. It comes back up. That way you've got that 21 pip range. You're only trying to get 7 pips out of it. But you want to get that, you want the wind to your back on this one. And then this is just a projection. This is just a projection of what I'm looking at for before we get see right now we even have a little bit of a from this little 1, 2, 3 area right here. So I'd be looking at here. We already made the high. Now this high could end up going higher still. We don't know that. Again, this is just a projection. And we may get an IRIS alert with a, as this thing comes down, comes back up, retest it, and then try and take short. But again, there's a lot of, on the, from where we had the original alert, this is still going to be the area that I'm looking that's going to be retested here. And I'm looking at from the alert, we had this is the low. This is where all the buying and this is where all the action was right in here. And here's where the break was.
So he says, I guess that means the overall rule is that the trend is our friend.
The trend is your friend. That's true.
It is.
Yeah, it is. I said when you start going, so you're better off to try and buy the pullbacks. Find those zones where the pullback is most likely to get to, and then maybe take a swing at the bat. When like if this thing pulls back and you can see where, as I look at this right here, I'm looking at this low right here off the RSIs, and that's this low. It comes up, here's the high. Now you come back over here and you see it's the same low area, but look where the strength was. So you actually have a low, you have a higher low. And you come over here, up here you have a high, here was a high, here was a higher high. And you had you actually had a little bit of a divergence off of that. Came back down, made a low down here, but it made a lower low. So once you, as you see these things cycling back and forth, see where the RSI, the strength is it making higher highs? Well, obviously this made a higher high right up in here. And you can see how this thing is just sort of flatlining right across this area. That means there's been a lot of, this thing still has some push to the upside a little bit. But once this thing comes down and can make a lower low from down here, then you can be looking at the pullback and that would be your trend direction change. But right now it's making, as it comes up, it's making higher highs with less strength. So there's still a lot of momentum to the upside on this. Where it's going to stop, I don't know. But right now, so if it breaks pretty much where this D is right here, if it can break that and pull back, if it starts basing right in this area, which is kind of doing a little bit right now, it should blow right through this 4-hour and come up here and retest this. Now, if you're in a long, I'd just be staying in a long right now. But I'd be also looking possibly to, once it gets into this, I'm gonna call this the black area. Once it gets into this area, once it can break and close inside this area where it's inside this area, if it can close in there, that means that this is all a free. There's no wicks in this area. This is just strictly. This is where the wick was. Here's the body. Here's where the next wick was. So if it can break the top of this wick only area, that means all these sellers got chewed up, and it's going to go up higher. This was actually the pullback. If you wanted to try and, if you got out here, you could have taken it with the break above this area. But right now we're in our fifth wave on this 5-minute chart. Now this fifth wave could only be maybe on a higher time frame. This is only wave 1. It could come back wave 2, wave 3 on. But every leg 1 on a higher time frame is a 5-wave move on a lower time frame. As if I'm looking at a lower time frame or higher time frame, this is wave 1, this is wave 2, here's wave 3, here's wave 4, and there's wave 5. Okay, that makes sense. And it's about 9:50. We'll see where we have a few more minutes, and then we're going to wrap this thing up for the day. No new alerts still. This one's still chugging along. So if you're in it, if you want to go for, if you want to just let it ride, this is one that you may want to let ride. Is if it can break through here, it's not going to be a straight shot. But if it can break through the top of here, it's probably you may end up seeing this one being tested. This wave 5 could still be going on up. Wave 5 is not necessarily done yet. But wherever wave 5 pulls back, I always like to see a break through the bottom of this candle with the first pullback. I like to see it get a little bit lower, probably at least break the body. I like to see it break the body of the blue candle for a pullback. So this thing just keeps on going. So right now it's going to pretty much chug through this whole wick area. And this whole area is just been broken. Let's see how deep it can penetrate this area right here.
Al, it looks like it's just right off to the moon.
Well, it's not showing any signs of retracing, that's for sure, right? At least not yet. This was a nice little base. Came up, came into that zone, came back out, came back in, and just this is just another nice little move. Wait about 6 more minutes, see if we get an alert at 10 o'clock. If we do, we'll draw it out and then we'll head on off and let everybody do what they want to do for the day. This was definitely the trade for the day. Make this line a little bit thinner so we can see that a little bit better. See how it just poked his head on, just stuck his nose above the water there and pulled back. So if that is the high, I'd be looking at, I want to see it come down to below this series of candles, probably more so into this area. Where it's testing the bottom of this candle right there. And the B, I'd be looking at maybe retesting the top of the red candle. Once it pulls back, see if it tests the top of the red candle, maybe just a little bit below that. And then the C, I'd like to see it maybe test the bottom of where the forward move was. And then come up here and test the, and this is where you could possibly get a divergence. I'd be looking for a divergence off of this, where we get a higher high, but we have the RSIs are still showing lower. And if we had, then we'd have a higher high, but then from this high, and actually we have a little bit of divergence right here. Actually, we have it right here. Here's a high, here's a higher high. Come straight down here, here's a high, here's a lower high. There's your divergence.
So you're saying this is going to be a deep retracement potentially?
I'm thinking this could be a deep retracement.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you had a very, very aggressive, impulsive move. I'm looking at it on the 1 minute, and this is some crazy candle activity.
Yeah.
So
to get this, and so these RSI should come all the way down here, and probably give you maybe a low. You may actually even get. It could possibly give you a divergence down at the bottom. I would expect this thing to maybe come back and retest this area in here. but you don't know. It's not going to be a straight. I don't think it's going to be quite as straight of a shot as it was going on up. I'll still look at this pretty much in this manner here. Here's A, B, C retracement. Probably about 50% retracement, maybe 61.8. So right here is be 40% right there. That's right about where I've got the A. Come back up, test this area, come back down and retest. If it comes back to a 50% retracement, that brings us right about to where the C is. This would be a little zone right in here. And then from that, comes back up, retests the high, up into the, it could possibly go on up into this area, which is right where the wicks are. Say if we have this strong move up and we pull back to the 50% range of this move, pull back 50%, this would be a trap here. So this is all just speculation. This is nothing etched in stone. And then this would be the target area at that point, which would still keep you inside this new wick area. We'll just see what happens with it. And actually, I like this little area right in here where they have this little small little candle, this little wick over wick. This would be a retest. And that's right between that 50 and 61% retracement. There's a 61% retracement right in this area right in here. And on that note, I'm not seeing any new alerts. Check one more time here. Nope, still last one was the gold trade at 8:30. So with that, thanks everybody for coming in. Thanks for your participation.
Thanks, everyone.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
See you all tomorrow.
Absolutely. Catch you guys later.